All right, Camille. You get three questions to BJ.
Oh, like a troll under a
bridge. You get to pick three questions to try to. Yeah, a lot like that. To try to crack that nut, to try to get inside the shell, to learn something about BJ.
All right.
What are the three questions?
Three questions, and you will answer them?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last time you cried?
The last time I cried.
I'll tell you the last time I cried. If you tell. No. You answer first.
Okay.
Because if I tell mine, then you're not going to answer yours. You don't have to answer it.
No, I'll be real. I think the last time I cried was breaking up with my ex-girlfriend.
Okay, when was that?
It was
like how long ago?
Well, it was like a few months ago.
Okay, all right. Do you want me to?
If you are comfortable.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, this is going to be such a shitty answer, but I did cry looking at some of the paintings in the Louvre. I got
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I saw this one, and it was this gorgeous, huge... I didn't even look up the name of the painting of the guy, because I just didn't want to look him up, and then people are like, oh, he's a hack, you know? I wanted to, have that experience, but it said that it took him 5 years to finish it, and I just started the moment when it was, 5 years, and he was, the last one. He's like, I'm done. And it's this beautiful big painting, and that moment where he's like... This is what I did.
You're crying now? You're getting choked up now? For real, right?
Well, just a little bit. I mean, it's just really, seeing all these people, doing all this wonderful, beautiful stuff. It was very affecting. I was very affected the entire time I went to all this.
I think that's what's missing from my life, is any kind of, I was just yelling at Aaron tonight about yelling at some kid on the internet, about yelling at Sony, about getting yelled at, about yelling, about not being appreciated, about some TV show that I'm making. But
that's how I am,
I need to go and look at a painting. I'd probably burst into tears myself. I'd probably rip my own head off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very preoccupied. I'm not I'm angry, But and then when I saw the statue of David, this is true. I saw the statue of David. It's beautiful. It's huge and perfect. It's beautiful. And then, this is true, I read that he had finished sculpting it at the age of 29. And finished sculpting it. And this is true, the first thing I did, I logged onto the wireless at the museum, and I canceled my pre-order of GTA 5.
For real?
Yeah.
But Kumail, I will say, in your defense, back then, a slab of marble was a video game.
Well, yes, you know what? David is my GTA 5. You're right.
That's just him killing time.
I went into the in Florence to the Uffizi Gallery where
it's beautiful.
Botticelli's Primavera is, which is Venus in the half shell, and you see. Building a room after room after room after room after room of just the things that you were allowed to paint back then, which is religious themes. You just see Jesus and Mary and Jesus, the Annunciation, the Assumption, and this and that, and you see Jesus.
The
and Mary.
Assumption?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real thing. It's just funny to me. It'd be a funny fake thing. The Assumption.
That would be.
It's a painting of a guy. It's like Jesus just walked by him outside an ice cream shop, and the painting is capturing the moment of him going, nah.
I bet that looked a lot like him at Pinkberry earlier tonight.
But you see all this stuff, and it's all biblical. It was illegal, basically, to paint anything else. And then you walk into a room, and I think it was for one of the Medicis or something like that, and there was a privately commissioned thing that was humanist. It was like mythology stuff, which is naked people. That weren't in the Bible, which is, like punk rock as can be. And you walk in and you see a naked woman with sprites and cherubs and stuff, and it's human nudity. And I just plopped down in my chair, and it was like hearing what a seminal rock and roll record would have been if you listened to Lawrence Welk all your life. Oh, Jesus Christ! Never mind the bollocks is playing. But it's also it's beautiful. And I sat there, and there was two other people. And there was a lot of people milling about, but there was two other people. There was an older woman and a younger woman. And everyone, the three of us, after sitting there for about 15 minutes, looked at each other, and we were all not crying, but all teared up.
Yeah.
And we all looked at each other and just gave each other a look like, Jesus Christ! And we had this moment, and we're like, yeah. Yeah, I know. And we just sat there and just dug it for a while. But I've had those experiences where I've turned a corner in a museum in Cleveland one time and saw a Cézanne painting that was half finished. And what made me cry is you could see his thumbprint on it. and it was the most beautiful drawing I've ever seen, and it was half finished. You could see he just gave up on it. And I just like, "Grr!" It completely came apart crying.
When you see the David, there's like 6 other huge marble blocks that Da Vinci never finished.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that Michelangelo never finished.
As you walk down the hallway.
Yeah, so it's all these blocks that, and so it looks like these figures are trying to escape from these blocks. It's
Wait, he had
really,
like David prototypes? Is that what you're describing?
No, after the David, this is the crazy thing. After the David, he was commissioned to make like these 6 other ones, and halfway through, this is true, the funding fell through. So when you feel bad about like a guy who made a great movie, like he can't get another movie made, that movie was great. The guy who made the statue of David couldn't get his next statue done. So it's like 6 of these, and it's all like these blocks and there's characters like that he's sort of carved but not finished, so they look like they're trying to escape from this.
Well, I believe it was
block.
Michelangelo.
Wow.
I think, and somebody who's an art student, correct me if I'm wrong, but I love when geniuses describe the way they're geniuses. Like Bobby Fischer, the way he talks about chess.
Oh yeah, Michelangelo said
that God put the image inside this block of marble. I have just the shitty task of removing the excess.
Well, that's the thing, is that if I was a guy who was like, give me a tip on sculpting, and he said that, I'd be like, you don't have to be a dick about it.
That's the thing. Like that's the thing that drives me crazy. Is like I want to talk about like how passionate I am about like, you know, making stuff. But you do like when you run it through your head, because it does sound like stuff like that. Like
yeah.
and you go like, oh, I'm just gonna sound like the biggest dick in the world.
Yeah, that's why.
But it's the most selfless stuff, because you're like, oh shit. Like, what are you gonna say? Like, God wrote Community episode 4 in season 2. You know, like it's not me. It's God. But
yeah.
the thing that you want to communicate though is the rapture, like of like the idea that there's a creative dimension. I think Campbell talked about that. There's shit outside of you that's already done, and that you get to participate.
Yeah, you grab it from the ether.
Like you're just like this weird splotch of iodine that just gets thrown onto a microscope slide and reveals this thing that was already there. And like you might be a hack, like a good, like you know, it's like some middle of the road guy like me just doing a sitcom. You might be making like an industrial training video and so in Pittsburgh about how to screw in a light bulb without getting electrocuted. You might be doing the Sistine Chapel. Like, it's different kinds of iodine, but like it's all part of this. Like, you're just getting like splats, you know. But it's like it's like mostly frustration. It's mostly incompletion. It's like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and then like 1 second for every 5 years of like, splat.
Yeah.
Like, I did it. I arrived. I'm a sperm cell that got annihilated by this egg, and someone else gets a baby.
And that's what's wonderful about being at the Louvre, is that it's all those splats, one after the other. The hard thing,
Yeah, they're collecting all
the splats.
I never thought about it that way.
It was like
It's a museum. It's like a big collection of
like a Bukaki of
really
creation.
good paintings. Dan, you episode 72. Dan Harmon realizes what art is and why museums are important. Won't you take a listen?
What was hard for me was, so I don't know anything about painting, but I was there and I was having real connection to it, and I realized like music and painting are things that you can really get someone in a split second and just grab them emotionally. With writing, which is, you know, what we do, there's an intellectual component to it, so there's a little bit more processing going on. But with music or art, it can be so almost animalistic. It feels like when you get it, like grab something inside you, no matter what your background is, and you just like have this, you know, it really resonates. I was kind of like a little bummed out seeing all this stuff and being like, I'll never do any of this.
I mean, it's not fair. It's amazing that it resonates. I mean, I think the one thing you should take away from it as a pep talk, as an individual creative to another, is that you're a attuned enough antenna that brought tears to you is a good sign. You're not supposed to walk in there and go like, let's find out how I hold up. Like,
I know it's the worst bar to try and clear. All right, Da Vinci, let's see what you got.
But also like, all right, Da Vinci on your best day, like not Da Vinci on an open mic working his shit out. Like,
well, what's also crazy is Da Vinci was a scientist, and after he died, they found plans for a helicopter and for solar panels. And
but also for
calculator.
AIDS. They suppressed it.
Bit from column A, bit
People
from
think
column
that
B.
Da Vinci's so amazing. The helicopter, the jetpack, AIDS. He designed AIDS, and no one will acknowledge that.
Are you jib-jabbing Da Vinci?
Nothing is sacred.
Wolf Blitzer.
He had little sketches of AIDS.
But it really is. Like he was like a
next to the spiral helicopter.
absolutely.
I want to go back, Mail, to the unfinished because I was in that same room at the academia.
Did you see those?
The academia, and you see those, and it's really like you see they do seem to be frozen in ice or emerging unsuccessfully.
It's very visceral seeing it.
But like, to lose funding, they already bought the marble.
Well, I bet that's what those rich fuckers were betting on, though. That's the thing that makes me happy about hearing about the half-finished David is that he had the balls to walk away. Like fuck you, man. Like, I bet that's what they thought. They're like, they probably like bet on his craftsmanship. Like, well, why don't you just finish it anyway? I'm working on getting a loan, and he's like, fuck you, I'll go carve another rock.
He was like,
shit.
I'll go make the Sistine Chapel in Rome, and then he fucking did that because I saw the David, and I was like, all right, everyone can have one great day. What else you got? And you see the Sistine Chapel, you're like, oh, okay, also this. Also this.
Sistine Chapel got me too. I looked up at the center. There's
wonderful.
one there's the Judgment Day on one wall, and then you have the God and Adam up there.
Which you that's the one you see a lot, but that's like 1/50th of the whole thing.
Then aligning it are these giant curved parts along the sides, like the railings of the chapel, and they're huge. And he painted upside down on a curved surface things that read absolutely two-dimensionally, like they don't look curved, and they still look three-dimensional surfaces. Yeah. And that was just demoralizing. Like that's unbelievable.
But I heard he stole a lot of that stuff from the Sistine floor. And a lot of people don't realize. You never look down when you go into that place, but
he took that. Yeah.
There's a guy named Harold Johnson that did the Sistine floor, and it's gorgeous. And he did it first. They did the floor first.
It looks like perfect rectangles.
That's what my friend was telling me. I went to the Louvre and she was telling me like what to go see, and she was like, and then go see the Mona Lisa, which is fine. And I was like, you just whatever the Mona Lisa, and I don't feel as bad about some of the comments that people make about me online.
Because
people are looking at the Mona Lisa.
They should have a comment section under the page. That would be an amazing spiritual journey. Yeah, you just go and there's there'd just be some guy goes, seems kind of racist, like under something, and it'd be like, oh, just everyone's
gay.
I saw the Mona Lisa. It's really small.
Dude, people said that to me. It's really small. I was like,
that should make it better. It's the biggest. It's the most well-known portrait of all time.
It's too small.
It's a postage stamp, but that's even better.
I just think whatever.
People said that to me.
Like, is she smiling or not? I can't even tell.
That really
will she? Won't she?
Guys, I have one word for you: Museum of Jurassic Technology.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Hey, don't talk unless you have a microphone.
Museum of Jurassic. Do you want to explain what that? Have you been to the Museum of Jurassic Technology?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
It's like an art installation. It's not real,
not real Jurassic technology. Yeah, it's
an art installation. Why do you love it?
Have you been to the roof?
No.
Whenever you go to a building, check out the roof first.
When you get there, BJ will be there, and he will give you some pinkberry
and give you your next clue.
Why? Not everything is the Amazing Race, bro.
He's been corrupted by the Amazing Race.
Yeah, he thinks life is like, all right.
Where's my next clue?
When was the last time you cried?
When's the last time I cried? I cry. The answer will be absolutely unacceptable because the answer will definitely be because I'm working on Community. It'll be because while I was breaking a story of my own about my show about people going to a community college. But I cry. I cry when a story works. It's like I'll be going like. And it's really embarrassing sometimes. Like if I'm in a room full of writers and then I'll go like, well, it's like. And that that works perfectly because then Troy has to say goodbye to Abed, but then I'll hear my voice doing that, and I feel but it doesn't. That's a bad example because that sounds sad.
It's happening right now a little bit.
Well, because I can remember, I can have sense memory of what it feels like for a story to finally something that is not yielding. Something that because. Stories like when you're working on them, you're working on this thing as I've talked about that it's like it's just not it's kind of like I don't know, like some sappy movie about a kid and a horse or something, and it's like the horse doesn't want to eat out of the kid's hand or something. 'Cause it's like this miraculous moment when this thing is behaving properly because it's finally chosen you and it wants to do something, and you're like Jesus fucking Christ, I've been like the pain that I've gone through. Yeah, that's it. It's an emotional reaction. It's sort of like just salt water squirting out of your eyes. Whether what you specifically broke was a truly sad moment about a character loving his father or something, or just a fart joke. Like it could really, if it clicks, it kind of like is an emotional experience for me. Catharsis. Catharsis, yes. Just yell anything out. I'm crying up here, and guys just connecting dots verbally.
That is, like, that's what made me cry about that painting was that moment when it, like, finally is like, oh, I'm done. And that's what you're talking about, is that moment where you're like, I mean, there's a lot more work to do, but where you're like, oh, I did something, and this works, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to. Yeah, it doesn't. I remember. I wish I could store all that information so I could study it, because, like, what 80 plus whatever episodes of Community going through that process every time. There's been so many wasted tears, so many times when it's been like, we got it, and like feeling so good about something that ends up being like, ah, shit, this doesn't work. You know, it's funny. Like we toil at the feet of this thing that just taunts us. You know.
Jeff, do you want to answer
about crying?
Yeah.
Took this huge shit.
Jeff was like, I looked and it was 9/11 and I cried.
I cried today, right before I came here. I cry about music a lot. I'm a crier. I'll cry movies. I'll cry like weather. Like I get like kind of overwhelmed by things. Like if something strikes me as incredibly singular, I just get really like overcome by stuff. I've always been one of those people, like if I get yelled at, like when I was like bossed around on the playground, like when I get angry, I think Dan, we have the same thing. When you get angry, my emotions well up and tears start falling.
Yeah.
So like, I cry happy more than I cry sad, but I cry happy all the time. So today, there's a song called She by Charles Aznavour. Elvis Costello covered it. And
I've heard the Elvis Costello version.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Jeff Lynne did an awesome version of it. And there's a lyric at the end of that that's just like, I just was singing it in my apartment. And I get to the end of it, and I can't even talk. I can't sing it. I can't even my throat closes up, and it just makes me start crying. And what it is, it's just beautifully written, and it expresses it. It's a little turn that it makes, where it's like it's not she. When it goes to me, then he goes me. I'll take her laughter and her tears and make them all my souvenirs. And like when it becomes about like this is the effect that she has on me, then it becomes way more about she. And that every time, there's a lot of songs I'll sing in the shower, it's like that. All of a sudden, I'll just have to stop, and I realize I'm sobbing. Like music overwhelms me all the time.
The album that always makes me cry is, do you guys know Warren Zevon? And everyone knows Werewolves of London and stuff.
Actually, I almost played a Warren Zevon song tonight.
His last, he found out he was going to die of lung cancer, and he had 3 months to live, and he was like, I got to make a fucking album before I die. So this album is his like goodbye to the world. It's called The Wind, and it's so beautiful because you could hear that he's very weak. And he has such a great, he's so at peace with it. Like, when he did the press conference to announce that he was going to die in 3 months, he said, in his press conference, he said, I just want to live long enough to see the new Bond movie. I hear they're taking it in a new direction.
No pressure.
And that was Casino Royale, so they did. They're taking it in a new direction.
Yeah, he must have really.
Yeah, special thanks, Warren Zevon.
But that album was really, really good. There's this album, one song called Keep Me in Your Heart for a While, which is like, it's not like a grand thing. It's like, I'm going to die soon. Just keep me in your heart for a while. You know, just for a little bit, and then whatever. Like, think of me every now and then. It's a really wonderful
You know, I'm
album.
finding, I have a really crazy memory for lyrics. I remember songs I learned when I was a little kid. Like, I did a lot of musical theater. I know all this. I know all the lyrics.
The ABCD song.
I know that one. Twinkle, twinkle. Same melody.
Yeah.
Which is, somebody should get sued. But like going back and listening to songs that you learned when you were a kid and you didn't really know what the meaning was about it, and all of a sudden these like those little epiphanies, like, oh, That's what it's about. Like
Yeah.
those moments really like hit me right in the old.
I was a little kid and I loved Four Weddings and a Funeral, and it wasn't until the 10th time I watched it that I realized that those two characters were gay, and that like changed my life. I was like, I guess they're not so bad, because it's true. Like, you know, grew up very homophobic and stuff, because very religious, and so. But that was part of the reason watching that movie. I was like, oh, okay, that's, you know, people do whatever they want.
I was watching West Side Story on TCM like a few months ago, and I cried like openly. Alone at my place, but not at one of the sad songs. At I Want to Be in America. You know why? Because it's a fucking good number. It's a fucking good song.
Which one?
I Want to Be in America. Okay, but be in America. It's fucking good. And the guy that plays, who's the sexy dude? What's his name? Bernardo. He fucking rules. He's so good, and the music is great. And what's her name? Chita Rivera. Is it? It's just so good. And it's just like a triumphant moment. Like there's like little things like that. You go like, that really fucking came together. There's a bunch of that's 200 people making something happen. That's another thing that always gets me is when it's humanity working as one thing. Like I went to a space shuttle launch and it's moving.
Yeah.
Like there's 6 people on that fucking thing.
Yeah.
And like it's like I just sobbing, crying.
Yeah.
And there was a guy next to me, and he's a colonel in the Air Force, and he was sobbing, crying. He had a friend on board that thing.
I thought he turns to you, suck it up, pussy. Let's get this bird in the air. We're not going to do it with your tears.
He's standing next to me. I knew, like, we had talked about it before. He goes, he's got a buddy on board this thing. It was like the last launch of Atlantis, I think, or second to last. Supposed to be the last, but they added one more, I think. And so when it went up, I was just like, my jaw hit my chest, and I was just streaming, not like crying, just a steady flow of tears. Like, I've never really cried like that. It was just complete awe.
I mean, it's crazy to think that, you know, billions of years ago, the sun supernovas and like one piece of dust or whatever settles where Earth is, and it just happens to spin and cool. The hot gases spin and spin for eons, and then they cool, and it sort of forms Earth, and it just happens to be habitable. Cut to us like launching shit into space.
And next to me is this guy who looks like the Great Santini. He's a badass, you know, pilot, test pilot, tough guy, ex-astronaut. And I know he's got a buddy on board, but he's being very sang-froid about it, and you know, very like. And he was saying like, you know, people don't really cheer. Like, just so you know, when it launches, a lot of people cheer, but the people that have been to these before, they don't cheer until the solid rocket boosters detach.
Sure.
Because when those are still lit and they're still attached to it, anything can go wrong, and there's no way to abort it. Once they release, there's a possible way if things go wrong to have them return to the landing
Yeah, I mean,
site.
they're going into space against God.
Yeah, and they're
and things can go wrong.
And they're strapped to a bomb that they can't turn off until those run off. And like once the SRB is detached, then there's a way for them to nose over and do a return to landing site, which has never been done, thank God.
Did you tell him that there's a traditional, like, there's things that can go wrong when you're telling people how to cheer?
Well, no, I was asking him a million questions.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to know everything.
That was unsolicited. I'm sorry. I just...
No, he was just saying, like I said, how many of these have you been to? Then I find out that he is a pilot and he's got a buddy on board. So, and I was just like, were you here for the Challenger? He goes, yes, I was. I go, what was that like? We talked about that.
Oh, my God.
And so that's when he's saying, it's like, since then we don't cheer until the SRBs are released. And I go, oh, that's wow. And so when I was having my own moments, and I'm filming it very poorly on my iPhone, we're just like not looking through it, but it's like holding it up kind of in the direction of it, and I'm crying. And I look over. The thing that got me, I mean, among all the things, was this guy was going, "Go Atlantis, go Atlantis," like crying.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Make it," and everybody there. So I'll start crying now. It's friends and family going, fucking get those fucking solid rocket boosters off and make it. And it was just like, there's something incredibly, like, you know, like we get so irritated by little things humans do, and I'm such a road ragey, you know, cock on the road and stuff like that. Everything's irritable, and Rush can go fuck themselves, and woof blitzer.
But you know what? Rush can go fuck
I know.
Oh, boy.
But the thing is, like, the beauty of, like, it doesn't have to be people going into space, which is the craziest thing in the world, but it's just crazy to go, like it's a very human moment where I just go, like we're awesome. Like, we're really cool.
Yeah.
And we have so much mental capacity, and it's very difficult to do all the things we do. I don't know how you put lead in a fucking pencil. But there's heroic shit that goes on to every little thing that we do. And it doesn't have to be going into space to make you realize that, but there's so much natural heroism that's the stuff that always gets me. and then you realize how brief it all is. Like that's the beauty of it. Like,
yeah.
So that's why sunsets are sad.
It's like one day closer to death. It really is. I think that's genuinely part of the reason why. Like, I think seasons are very like. I always connected to seasons when I was in Chicago and stuff, and I feel like part of the reason that California people can be so cocky and get all that work done and stuff is like. They don't see seasons. They don't see like life dying and coming back and dying and coming back. So then one day they look in the mirror and they're like, I look slightly old. What the fuck happened? And then they get like work done and stuff. And I really think seasons give you perspective that we sort of don't have sometimes. I was thinking about this today. This is slightly off topic, but not really. Everyone knows
off topic.
Yeah. We all know who the first man on the moon was. How many people know who the first man in space was? Okay, like 4 people. His name's Yuri Gagarin, and just because he was Russian, we don't hear about him as much. To me, that's really sad, because that's something, again, that humanity did. It was in the fucking 60s. The first man in space. Everyone should know his name. And we don't know it just because it's a Russian, and they didn't like Russia back then. That like bums me out. Yes.
Anatoly, have you met Anatoly? Was he here before you left?
Yes, I've met Anatoly.
Yeah, our resident Russian.
About Gagarin, mostly actually about me. Gagarin.
I knew it.
This is the least surprising thing.
Gagarin, he was studied in a city where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so obviously 4 people raised their hands. One of them was the guy who grew up in the same city as him. That's a name that we should know and celebrate.
Are there big statues of him in town?
Yeah,
that's great.
It's him punching Neil Armstrong in the face.
I think everybody knows Yuri Gagarin was the first guy in space. I think maybe because you asked it that way, people.
Oh, is that right?
People paused and was like, maybe it wasn't Yuri Gagarin.
A lot of people didn't know.
Well, because I grew up during when I learned that it was the Cold War, so we were supposed to, by that argument, maybe they're just past it. They're like, space, fuck that. I don't know.
Maybe. That is a bummer that wouldn't have happened.
What about that dog? The first thing, it was a Russian dog, right?
Laika?
No, it was 2 dogs, and they were called Belka and Strelka.
Those
really?
dogs,
Yeah.
You made a thing that goes into space. You could name dogs 2 different things. Rover and Schmover.
Now, those dogs, Anatoly, I'm asking him like he was there. Those dogs, they didn't come back, right? There's no like. They're just dogs. Can you imagine those dogs? Like, they're well trained enough that they're like. I mean, I imagine those are the best dogs on the planet, like the best dogs, and they're like, okay, all right, whatever you want, boss.
I have a question because we know, like, for all this, the American space program, I forget what the number is, but it's below 20, I think, of the amount of people that have died in the American space program or something. You know, the 2 shuttle things and the guys in the beginning of the Apollo. How many Russian cosmonauts died? Do you know?
No.
Because I mean, does that because they don't release that? I mean, so some fuckers died. Yeah. Like we don't. I don't know the number. That'd be interesting to find out. Like how many?
It was
people,
like 20 some here.
Well, what's it? I forget the number, but it's like 18 or something like that, around there, of Americans that died through our space program, which is pretty crazy when you think of the amount of there's been something like 160 or 70 or 80 space shuttle missions or something like that.
Well, also, the amount of people that died making the Golden Gate Bridge, the amount of people that die from poverty, it's like and you'd think flinging us into space would have the highest casualty rate.
I think so. I'm going to get
looking at the moon and being like, let's go there. People are going to die.
I'm going to get all the numbers.
Cause of a lot of death.
I'm going to get all the numbers wrong, so forgive me. But I think maybe 7 people died in the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, which was considered an engineering marvel because the rule of thumb back then was 1 person dead for every 100 foot of span. That was considered like feasible and okay insurance wise and stuff like that. The fact that only 7 people died and how 1,300 feet or whatever, not more than that, it's way more than that. It's that was considered we did it, and we put fuckers in the moon and when only 3 people had died. That's
I hate to be cynical, but it's really expensive to kill an astronaut.
It's a lot of training.
A poor guy can die making a bridge, and that's what it is. That's my point. That's why I'm ranting about. That's the danger of capitalism. The idea that $1 is worth something is great. and gets all kinds of shit done. The idea, but unfucking capped without some rule above it that a human life is absolutely like not only worth more than anything, but that the president's human life is actually worth as much as we can wrap our brain around this. The president's human life is worth the exact same amount as like the guy whose breath is terrible in the cubicle next to you, and the guy that looks creepy outside the 7-Eleven. Like you don't have to want to be his best friend, but the idea that his human life is actually it's all equivalent. Like that, all we have to do is put that in place over capitalism. Let capitalism run under it. You wouldn't have stuff like that. Okay. By the way, Anatoly's wearing the cat shirt from the sexy guy. From
Anybody else wearing the cat shirt from last week? No, just one.
What's the cat shirt story?
There was a gentleman named Andrew. Is Andrew here? No, a guy was last week. We mentioned him because
he just goes to different cities trying to get people to wear that shirt.
He was in the front row, and he was in a wheelchair with arm brace crutches, and he had that shirt on. So we started talking to him, and he has Tourette's, and he's kind of got a spinal thing for 11 years. And we talked to him, and Aaron fell in love with his cat shirts, and so it's become something of a craze online.
All right.
Oh wow, that's cool.
We've run rampant. BJ, do you know where we are?
Yeah, cat shirts.
Okay.
It's time to bring Spencer out for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
We had a lot of catching up to do. I'm curious to find out on Reddit whether this is the best or worst episode in a while.
It's had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
This episode has had everything.
But I think I think that we've settled into an audience where it's like my mom would listen to the Home Shopping Network while she sewed. In the 80s, I would come home from school. My mom wasn't buying anything because we were poor, but she'd sit there and sew stuff, and she would have the Home Shopping Network on because she had grown addicted to the voices. This is the people like, oh, Diane she gives you a toot every time you order a bracelet. You know, she's just listening to Diane talk about. It's like if you listen to people for hours a day.
You think that's what we've been reduced to?
It's not reduced, elevated to. We're in their homes, we're in their lives, we're their family. If I cut my finger right now, someone in Illinois would be like, oh, he cut his finger.
Also, they are listening. It's not just that they're listening to the sounds that our voices make.
Right. No, they're
engaged.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Diane in Illinois. Are you chopping your salad? Hey, Gary, drive safe this morning.
All right, Kumail, speed round. You have two BJ questions left.
Shit. That was the first question.
Speed round.
Hi, Spencer. How are you?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
Continue.
Do you want to answer the question? You don't have to.
No,
Okay.
continue.
You never cry.
2 quick questions. Do you believe in God?
Uh-huh.
Yes. And
I also cried during that Home Depot video where the guy's proposing to that other guy.
Oh, yeah.
What's
I don't know this.
I don't know this video.
So sad.
How's it go?
He's like...
He's demonstrating the.
I have to come up with you?
He's.
And then imagine all these people are dancing. And you're the guy. Okay? And then... Wait, no, I should be the guy. You should be the guy who's proposing to me.
Wait, you did improv?
Dancing, right? Like all his friends are like...
I'm the guy or the girl?
You're a guy.
Okay.
And I'm another guy.
Right.
We're in Home Depot.
Okay.
All of our friends are back here dancing.
They're all dancing at the Home Depot.
And then like a bunch of kids walk in with iPads and start pulling them up. Like, so look, here's someone you know who's face chatting you from somewhere else in America or around the world. And you're like, oh, hi, relatives. Hey, good to see you on the iPad. And then your fiance guy walks up and is like...
Your fiance guy walks up?
Because you're about to get married, guy.
Oh.
Like, do. Come on.
Okay.
You've made me so happy. Will you make the rest of my life the happiest life that I will ever have? I do.
Jeff and BJ are both really actually crying.
You just gave me your Home Depot card? What is this? BJ, everybody. Thank you, sir. Magic. Let's bring Aaron McGathy up to the stage. Aaron.
I got a little teared up if I'm interpreting that correctly. It's a viral video of a same-sex couple proposal.
It certainly wasn't our reenactment.
It did make me sad because it felt like a little Golden Railroad spike. Like, I imagine my mom watching that then, and going like, oh, that's how you win. Those are the victories. When my mom goes like, oh, they're just like us. Like that makes me cry. It's like seeing the romance. If you could drag your mom to a gay wedding, this issue would be over. Because believe me, they're more romantic than, we've talked about it. All right. Hello, Aaron.
Hi.
Did you get your hair colored? Is that new hair?
Yeah, it's a little too purpley.
I like it. It looks good.
Oh, thanks, Jeff.
Purpley.
Oh, thank you.
Good. It's like
it worked.
I feel like a fool now.
All right, real quick because we're getting late on time. Aaron, last time you cried?
I cry all the time. Constantly. The last time I really sobbed was watching the Stella sisters who are on Nashville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this. These two little girls, Lennon and Maisie Stella, they're sisters and they sing a cappella. And the way that they look at if I start talking about it, I'll cry.
How
The
old
way
are
that.
they?
Oh, 2 and 3.
Okay, little. Okay.
But no, they're not 2 and 3. They're
6 and 10 or somewhere around
8
there.
and 10.
And they have one where they're playing with like 2 tins of margarine, like as percussion, and they're
probably in their 40s now, but like they've been around.
No,
oh, okay.
Not literally, but the way that they look at each other as sisters, the way that they admire each other, makes me sob. But also paintings and.
Yeah.